Yo, what's going on? Hey, someone that's no one, and welcome back to another smoke sesh. It's been a fat fucking minute. Fat minute. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably been months, I don't know. This is a very unique episode because it's the first time we're actually not going to be consuming cannabis on a smoke sesh episode. And instead, we're going to be diving into that Blue Lotus. This is also part story time because this is describing my first experiences, I should say, with Blue Lotus, but also a live experience of just my first time trying Blue Lotus alone, like an effective dose of it alone. Because I've tried it alone before this, but it's only been like in bowls and whatnot. Also with like cannabis or alcohol or some other substance, so it hasn't necessarily been 100% pure. But today, hey, we're gonna change that. I haven't smoked in fucking probably 6 to 8 hours. I mean, people are probably like, what? You call that significant? It is significant in my life to not smoke that much. Typically, after sleep, but I did, do a little wake and bake, so, don't mind me on that. But, hey, we're pretty clear-headed. I did some exercise, ate, let some time pass, let that settle off and whatnot. And I would say I'm fairly baseline in terms of being high and whatnot. But for this Blue Lotus, I got this about 2-3 weeks ago at this point. And ever since I got it, I just decided, hey, let's dive in, let's see what this is about. It's another smokable herb. I love fucking cannabis, so hey, I hear this is one plant that is very actually close to replicating the effects of cannabis. So I dove in right away with it. But before we continue my experience with this, let's actually light this up. So this is my first pure joint of Blue Lotus, live recorded. I measured out exactly a half gram. I figured a half gram would be fair enough. I hear some people doing more than that, but in terms of smoking, I found even just the small like point bowl around that was pretty effective for me. So I'm expecting this half gram, even with somewhat of a tolerance already built. And we're going to talk about that and what I think about the tolerance with Blue Lotus. But it should be definitely more than enough, and I'll report the effects as we smoke this as well. So normally I would say, hey, light up, enjoy me, but I'm guessing most people don't know what Blue Lotus is or don't have it or just learning about it from this video. A good amount of you probably do have it. Hey, join me. But if you have your cannabis, hey, join me. Whatever the fuck, join me. But let's spark this. Alright, let's hope this doesn't burn retarded because I have mixed this with cannabis in blunts. Oh, not too bad. And with the blunts, it can kind of canoe and just start burning uneven and whatnot. So far in a joint wrap, shredded, it is grinded. Hitting pretty fair. And with the Blue Lotus, it is something like I have just enjoyed smoking. Like, it is a nice pleasure to smoke. Some of the smoothest stuff I've ever had, by far, much more smoother than weed. By just smoking this alone, I doubt I'm gonna cough. Like, you have to get a real fat, like, bong hit of this stuff to actually get some cough going, or just have it be really hot or something. Taking it in, smoking, hey, it's A1. And the taste of it, and smell of it is, pretty good too. I wouldn't say it's like, like rich, whatnot, but there's like a subtlety to it, but just a very clean, like, fresh smell. Like, I guess like a flower should smell, though I wouldn't say necessarily smell strongly of a flower, at least a fresh flower. Somewhat earthy, but a little nectary, if that makes any sense. Definitely something enjoyable to smoke. But let's jump back and explain my experience, this 2 to 3 week experience I've had, because it's mainly positive, I have to admit. little to no drawbacks on my experience so far with Blue Lotus. I've been pretty much taking this, I want to say daily, though there's some days it's kind of like, alright, it's a back off a little, take a little break from it. Or some days I kind of just forget and just be like, oh shit, I've just been smoking bud. I haven't really noticed the Blue Lotus. And that's a good sign too, because the addictiveness of it probably isn't that strong. I mean, at least for me. And I'd say so far, just from taking, approaching halfway on the joint so far, what I notice immediately, very, very relaxed. A big change in my relaxation. And something else I notice is I think it does help with just sociability and talking, and just in finding the joy in that and wanting to more. I think that's a apparent effect I get from the Lotus. And also another effect is, of course, you get kind of a high, cannabis-like high, I'd say. I would say it's more clear-headed compared to cannabis. But what also sticks out a lot for this is the increase in sexual desire. This actually helps people a lot who go through erectile dysfunction. And just, I won't get too explicit or nothing with this, but just from my personal experience on that, just feeling and just your sense of touch, I feel like, is just up 5 to 10 times. Note, just from puffing on this is definitely something I could see just me doing casually on its own. Like I said before this point, I would always actually throw in a little bit of bud, or just mix it with something else. But back on my collective experience, as for the actual first time I actually took in Blue Lotus, which was smoked, I did it in a bowl, and I did it on its own, for the first 5 to 10 minutes to get a gauge of what's going on with it. And it's pretty similar to the effects I already reported here, just from a bowl's worth. Very relaxed, very clear-headed, very effective in, I would say, getting high, getting a desired recreational effect as well. Though I will say I find that combining it with other stuff is very synergetic. I would say, smoke Blue Lotus on its own if you kind of just want to chill out, kind of zen out in a sense, just kind of be at peace with things. But it works very well for just adding it on into more recreational activities, because over the past month or so, if you guys know, had a moving process, and I've had some nights where it just felt like I wanted to let loose, had some drinking nights in between that, and adding the Lotus in with alcohol is very, very synergetic. I find when you do that combination, 1 beer, 2 beers starts to feel like 3, 4, 5 beers. And going on beyond that, shit just hits even harder and you don't have to take in as much. Which, great, because, you don't want to take in a shit ton of alcohol. And if Blue Lotus can help you reach that level faster with, less quantities of alcohol, then I would consider that a huge pro. Now, there is some risk in doing this, but traditionally, if you have pure Blue Lotus, it is thought to be safe to combine with alcohol. It is thought that Blue Lotus was used in ancient Egypt, and what they would do actually was soak it in alcohol and have a Blue Lotus mixture, because smoking it isn't the only way to ingest it. Tea is a very common route. The alcohol steeped Blue Lotus is another option, and there is also extracts of it. And we're coming to the end of this joint here, and just to give a report of the complete effects after smoking a half gram. The relaxation is still very prominent. I would say I'm even a bit more clear-headed than I was before. I would say focus is another aspect it can help you a lot with. And like I said, there is a cannabis-like sensation, just that kind of I wouldn't say haze necessarily, but just that state of being. Though the main difference is, I would say this state compared to cannabis just feels a lot more clear-headed. And I do feel like a half gram was an effective dose. Now, there is thought to be an inverse tolerance with Blue Lotus, which simply means you may not feel too much at the start when you start smoking Blue Lotus, but as you gradually continue to smoke it, your brain gets more adjusted to it, allowing for the effects to come in easier. Now I do feel like this is true in a sense, though I feel like Blue Lotus was effective from the start for me. So far, I haven't noticed a tolerance raise from casual usage about daily, like I've been saying, maybe upwards to 300 milligrams to 500 milligrams daily, if that. But I have heard and seen some reports of people who have done it daily where, a drop off occurs maybe after 2-3 weeks. But that's my first time smoking Blue Lotus. I know it was kind of just loosely thrown information of what's happened to me over the past 3 weeks or so. But I let the inverse tolerance kind of build and wanted to dive in for a smoke sesh like this and just report how it would go. And I would say for the most part, I'm chilling. It's probably my second favorite smokable now. I almost always want to throw in some Blue Lotus now in the blunt, especially if we're drinking, I'm down for that. So far in my experience, Blue Lotus has been a hell of a hit. It's a legal substance. The only thing I wish there would be more of is more research on it, more just awareness of it. I'm surprised there isn't a whole boatload of people, just talking about Blue Lotus. And it's this flower, provides very similar effects to cannabis, I would say. At the very least, you would kind of hear about it, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. You do kind of hear about it, but not really unless you kind of dive deep a little bit. But I think we're going to leave it there for today. I think we did provide a solid representation of just my first impressions with Blue Lotus. This video was somewhat requested, not directly of course, but someone did request, hey, can you combine cannabis with Blue Lotus and make a smoke sesh on it, which we'll most likely be following with this video. But to actually, do that and do a solid report on that, I figured, let's get our first time actually trying Blue Lotus itself, because I hadn't had it prior to this actually. So hopefully this gave you somewhat of a decent view on Blue Lotus and what it is. It's a sedative smokable herb. It provides a lot of relaxation, clear-headedness, focus. It can help with your sexual life, and it can also give you a pretty solid high, especially when you combine it with common substances like cannabis or alcohol. But expect another smoke sesh with this coming soon. If you want me to do anything else regarding Blue Lotus, hey, let me know in the comments below and we can do that. Or anything else at all, let me know and we'll get on it. If you guys want to see some exclusive content, follow my Patreon, links in the description. If you want to see a report you wrote on this channel, send it in to NoOneSubmitReport@gmail.com. If you can, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, follow the socials, share the video. It's been Someone That's No One, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Tragic how it all came to play out when you're the only thought I'm thinking about.